You give an inch of grace and they take a mile. Like, Nike, I was in your corner for the Nike SB for Midnight Navy and Eric Costin, utilizing that as an option, right? For people to secure their pair without really too much hassle, other than the fact that, hey, they had to go to that specific link. And we understand that links don't stay hidden or special for long. Soul Links and so many other, entities that provide links or news or drops, they were able to get that information out to people. So it wasn't really the craziest thing. We'll talk about how people feel about that, because I don't see a lot of good feedback from this initial sneakers link news that we have. Again, I'm still in support of them trying something different, because the goal should be to get your product into your actual loyal consumers' hands. That's what it should be. Now, we also have to be realistic that they're a business, so quite frankly, whomever decides to pay the retail price for the sneaker and help move their stock, that's what matters at the end of the day. When they look at like how a shoe did, it's not categorized by like bots or resellers or real consumers. It's not. They can see we had an X amount in terms of stock for this sneaker, and then we had this many pairs that actually sold. That's pretty much what I'm guessing that they see, and that's what a lot of stakeholders are going to care about, and especially shareholders. Not, how are you able to get the shoe, or did you get the shoe, or how loyal have you been? Yeah, if you looked in the comment section of the post, right, any sneaker publication that's talking about the sneakers link announcement, I don't see a lot of people in support of it. Now, some of you were very much so for the whole Eric Costin route, and some of you were not, and I understand it. And let's just dive into that real quick before we even get into the post. So on my own, channel, on my community tab, I posed a question because I had the people are bums, so apparently they can just sit around all day at 2 p.m. Eastern and be able to cop a shoe. That's an oxymoron in itself, because they're looking to pay the same $220+ that you're looking to pay. The difference is their schedule allowed for them to have access to their phone and to try and get the shoe. That certainly doesn't mean that they're broke and unemployed. We don't all work the same work schedules. We don't all have the same jobs. Maybe you're in a position where you can't be on your phone, but like millions of others can be on their phone, and they try for the shoe. So we really got to stop with like just talking out of bitterness and frustration that it wasn't a convenient time for you to be able to get the shoe. Okay, that's where the question really stemmed from for me. So that's why I said, based on this recent drop, a lot of you, you had a lot of opinions on Nike doing a disservice to sneakerheads, and so some of you are convinced that, again, only unemployed bums are able to have access to their phones at 2 p.m. Eastern on a workday. False, because like in any job that I've held, I've been able to have my phone on me. I have, or you can simply step away, okay? But nonetheless, so I said, hey, what time do you think a sneaker should release to appease everyone, right? Because it needs to be available for all consumers. So 24% of you said Saturday only, online and in store, 10 a.m. and after 10 a.m. Eastern after, which is when a lot of shoes drop. Very few of you said Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern and first come, first serve beyond, because that's only giving you, right, like that one day or just the weekend afterwards. But hey, you guys are saying you can't be available. You're not on your phones at 2 p.m. Eastern. So are you available at 5 p.m. Eastern? But your shift may go over. You may still be working until 6 p.m. So do we need to continue to push it back? That's kind of the question that I have. I said Monday through Friday, online and in-store, 10 a.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. Eastern. I mean, that's kind of essentially what we have now, right? Like, back in the day, drops were still during the week, but they were very seldom. They didn't drop at the frequency they do now. And so that's kind of what we have now, and a lot of you weren't in support of that. And then 67% of you said random times, random day, maximize real people hitting on the sneaker. Can that work? It can, because I don't know that bots will be able to set up in enough time if they don't know the exact time, the exact day. What are all the parameters that they need in place to be able to hit, right? So that could, in theory, help. My concern with Nike saying the sneakers link, and we can go back to their explicit details for it. So they said, the goal is what a lot of people are questioning, is to make sure some of the most coveted sneakers make it into the hands of true fans first. I've seen so many people say stop the cap. Stop So keep the sneakers app close, as well as the artists, athletes, and creatives you're interested in, so you'll be the first to know about upcoming drops. Now, again, people are calling cap, and we'll get to the comments in a second. So I'm a big fan of Black Mirror. I think it's one of the best well-written shows that we've had in quite some time. And of course, it centers around technology, the intersection of technology, the real world, and how does that change us? Not only in how we're interacting with this tech, how we interact with others, how we perceive life after, it's all said and done. I don't know that the idea that you actually do have to be glued to your phone more than what we already are, if this is a consistent thing. Like, I don't know how often they would choose to utilize Sneakers Link for drops, right? I just think they can't roll this out where the novelty wears off so much, or that you frustrate people so much. Like, it being a now and then thing, I think is great. I think that's a smart approach. But even then, if you use it for every single collaboration, then people start to anticipate you using this for every collaboration. So then you're going to need to come up with something else after a while too, I would imagine, right? I know people are speculating, will they use this with Travis Scott and Wale? And we don't know. We'll see. But that is one of my concerns is a lot of us are already glued to these phones way more than we should be, right? You can look at your screen time and be able to see what it is. We're glued to these phones night and day already. So if it gets to a point where you are absolutely just on your phone all the time and you're just waiting for a drop, I mean, one, kudos to them for really having such control over consumers. It's scary as that is, because that's what it kind of feels like if you're taking a step back from it. But I don't like that part of it. And I do think you need to maintain the element of people being able to just try for the shoe, right? You can't completely remove that. Does it make it more difficult for manual users? Of course, absolutely. And I don't know that there's ever going to be a perfect system. It's just not, because things have changed, and e-commerce is a way in which you go direct to consumer. We're never getting away from that. Now, you do have some times now where it is more readily available to actual consumers in person based on experiences, but that's going to be based on where you are located. Like, it's going to be a region thing. So it's certainly not going to be something that can get into the hands of everyone. And a lot of you are sounding off in the comments. So Nice Kicks posted, the news related to sneakers, and people were not happy. So they can do whatever the hell they want. I buy shoes from Goat and eBay, tired of all these games. Again, if it starts to feel like a brand is playing in your face, consumers will make better decisions for themselves out of convenience, and again, to not feel like they're being played with. Somebody said, just another way to tell me you weren't selected. Yeah, I mean, if you take an L, that's exactly what it is going to remind you, that you didn't get the shoe. Then somebody said, bro, I can't sit and wait for links to buy shoes. Every now and then, that's why I say this is cool. I think this is cool every now and then. Consistently, it becomes the norm? Absolutely not. I do not think consumers will like it. The next said, this is exhausting. It shouldn't be this hard to buy sneakers. There's always been some level of footwork depending on what the shoe is, right? And then you have more casuals that would just like to walk into a shoe. And they do. You got to remember, casuals are not following every news outlet to find out when things are happening. They just happen to walk into a store and they see a shoe, or they happen to be browsing online. They see a pair they like. Maybe they're seeing it talked about a little bit on social. They don't know all the backstory of it. And they make the decision to buy the shoe. But that may be totally removed from you for certain shoes if it is a if you know thing, but that can also backfire on Nike and Jordan. So just looking at the rest of the comments, so you're giving creators and their hangers on access to the shoes first with direct ordering links, then having them post on socials. Cool. Yeah, you're not going to have people that feel great. And again, I saw a mixed bag of emotions from the SB4 drop. I'm not seeing anything positive in these comments about this. I mean, this just sounds more time consuming. Yeah, people aren't. They're just not. They're not happy about this at all. Somebody just said bye. Ever heard the story of the boy who cried wolf? And that's also the thing, because we've seen in the past, Sneakers App has said that, oh, if you tried for X number of drops and they had to be specific drops, then you were given exclusive access to a certain shoe, right? They did that a lot with Kobe's, but then we learned that there were people getting access and you didn't necessarily go for all the Kobe's that you were supposed to be able to check a box for your account to get access. So they kind of put their foot in their mouths there, because sometimes saying less is more, and just say, hey, you're going to have an opportunity to possibly get the shoe. So I don't know where we're gonna go from here. Again, I applaud you for having tried something different, but it can definitely be too much of a I don't want to say a good thing because I don't know that it's going to be good that you're pissing off a big part of your consumer base. So please share your thoughts below, because I was just posing the question of, hey, what's going to be a good time? And then Nike rolls this out and I'm like, making it hard to continue to defend you, truly making it difficult. I will say this for myself, having stepped back from chasing sneakers and buying them at the rate at which I was in the past, you know, it's really freeing when you're not running around like a chicken with its head cut off trying to secure pairs like it is. Like, on a Saturday, 10 a.m., you're doing whatever you're doing. It has nothing to do with a shoe, right? I'm in the gym, I'm running errands, I'm doing whatever. It doesn't revolve around like a sneaker release. And that is really freeing. I'm not saying anybody else needs to be that way, but it is freeing for me. So it makes me laugh a little more when I see like all of the hoops and ladders that consumers are going to continuously have to go through, because it gets to a point. And you don't want it to get to that point, Nike. You don't, because consumers are already exploring other options with other brands that doesn't take them through all of this. And so how it all shakes out, I don't know. But listen, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please, again, go ahead and comment your thoughts below. I am really curious how you feel about the sneakers link, because I don't see a lot of positive feedback on it. And I hope they take that into account after the first tries of it. And if they need to pivot, then pivot immediately, right? Don't let it linger. Pivot immediately. Do what is at least in the best interest, I think, of consumers, or at least perceived best interest of us as consumers. I don't know. But again, go ahead and comment your thoughts below. I really appreciate you tuning in. As always, act your age, not your shoe size. Peace.